Welcome everyone. I have something a bit different for you today. This is a prototype for a Singularity Computers dual 560mm Radiator water box. It's been a long time since we've done a water box. Actually, this is going back over 10 years now when we built a Dangerden triple 360mm Radiator water box. So this is pre-hardline tube by a few years. That's a Dangerden reservoir there, dual D5 pump top from Bits Power. And I upgraded it a few years later, and actually we gave this one away. So you can see things had advanced a little bit more by this point. We have hardline tube, nice clean tube runs, a lot more symmetry, and custom cables. We actually have CAD floating around for really hundreds of things like this that we've done over the years. I think this design was first done like more than 5 years ago. It's pretty old. And some of these things we might have done prototypes for, just a one-off. Like, I don't even have photos for some of these projects. We just never actually even showed them. So this was one of those things. We designed it a long time ago. We had a prototype sitting around and just didn't do much with it. But we are finally putting it to good use. If you're going to go to the trouble of building a water box, you might as well go completely overboard. This is really one of the purposes behind a water box, having the ability to add far more radiator capacity, pumps, and fluid volume as well. You can see we have these massive Protium 350mm reservoirs, because probably this is going to be down on the floor somewhere, a couple of meters away from the system. And if you're going to be pushing a lot of coolant at long distance into a system, it's going to use up a lot of fluid volume, and so it really helps with the extra reservoir capacity. You can see that I opted for a different fill method because this loop was over 3 liters to fill it. Normally I use a syringe for control, but if there's a huge amount of fluid volume, you don't really need that control, so that's where I may use a fill bottle or something else just to make things go a lot more quickly. So the pump has a lot of air to push out of those radiators, with the ports being at the bottom. Now, if you have multiple pumps, then I strongly recommend when you're filling the loop until the air is out, you only run one pump. So you can see I'm only just engaging the second pump now. Otherwise, there's just no way that you're going to be able to control things. It just moves way too quickly, and you're probably going to burn out one of the pumps. Water boxes are kind of a thing of the past now. They're not really that popular anymore. You don't see them around. They come from a time, I think they started because there weren't many cases compatible with liquid cooling, and liquid cooling was starting to become a lot more popular. And so people look for the option to externalize the radiators in particular, because that's really the thing that cases, didn't used to be able to fit back in the day. But there's many different applications for them. I think the best one is like if you have a test bed where you're changing components in and out all of the time, and you just want to have a really powerful external cooling unit that remains consistent across all of the testing. That's somewhere where I've used water boxes a lot. Maybe you just want to have a really compact build and just put the cooling system in another room somewhere else where you can't hear it, or it's cooler maybe. Like I've seen people put them outside in the snow. A lot of different things you can do. Maybe you have a lot of GPUs, CPUs, and you just can't cram enough radiators in there. I mean, with a water box this powerful, you could cool a couple of kind of normal high-end liquid-cooled gaming systems, because this fits two 560mm radiators, which is just a huge amount of surface area. And being away from the system, away from the heat source, you know, you can really get some powerful and efficient cooling. So just to go into the specifications, we have two EK XE 560mm radiators with EK Vada 140mm fans, Singularity Computers Protium, black polished 350mm reservoirs, D5 polished acrylic pump tops, and D5 black with silver ring pump covers. Ethereal single black mounts, 2 on each config. We have an old bits power splitter in the bottom here, which is perfect for this kind of thing. And from there, the Molex power running out, which will probably go into the system. A Quero 6LT, which is controlling the pump RPMs and fan RPMs. Bits power black sparkle fitting, Singularity Computers 16mm acrylic tube. And on the outside here, we have Bits Power quick disconnects. At the moment, I'm just running it in a loop so that I can run the system to get the air out. When this reaches the customer, obviously he's going to have to add a lot more coolant as he runs it into his system. But there's so much reservoir capacity here that it's just really easy to fill and to deal with. So I've got the inlet coming in this side and the outlet coming out of this side. And the reason I went from one side to the other like that was so that we could get this complete symmetry here. So just 3 tubes, 2 of them exactly the same, a mirror of each other. And then 1 tube going straight from the outlet on the pump top on the right to the inlet on the pump top on the left. So that worked out really nicely. We also have temp sensors here on the backs of the pump tops running into the Quero 6LT. So you can see that there's quite a few things that would be great to add to this design. For example, fans at the top and bottom. You could do some really interesting things with the airflow design. Also, the inlets and outlets for the loops were something we didn't finalize. I had to drill these, but you can see the panels are removable so that you can modify them. You know, dust filters. But if we were actually to pursue this idea, integration would definitely be something that I'd want to do, integrating the reservoirs, the pump tops, the pumps into a distribution plate similar to Spectre and Wraith.